Ghost, top 15 favorite songs of all time in 5 minutes or less. Starting at number 15, I'm a Marionette at the end of Infestissumam. This is a standout track for me because of the covers and interesting choices of covers that Ghost have made throughout their career, and how well and just surprisingly smooth the transition from a cover to the sound of Ghost it ends up being. If I'm right, this is an ABBA cover, which is super interesting that you can have that 70s pop disco band like that be meshed into the sound of Ghost. If I'm right, is ABBA Swedish too? I feel like they are. Anyway, having that track at the end of Infestissumam is such a good end cap. It's really creepy and lullaby-ish, and it's just kind of cyclical, and it's kind of reminding you this overall theme of what kind of feels like insanity or carny culture. The carnival feel of Secular Haze in the beginning of the album, finishing with I'm a Marionette. It's just kind of this theatrical, weird, oddball type of song, and I love it. Number 14, Miasma off of Prequel, their album from 2018. This is probably my favorite instrumental they've done. It is the climax of their live shows when they reanimate the father figure of the church out of the casket, and he does the awesome saxophone solo that's featured at the end of this song. Miasma, start to finish, is just a fun play along song. It's groovy, it's proggy, and for me, it's definitely a high point on the Prequel album. Number 13, a track I just mentioned, Secular Haze off of Infestissumam. When I was first getting into that album, this was a track that stuck out to me as an instant favorite. Just it's very catchy. Again, the carnival ups and downs, circular in your brain type of riff, and the sound effects. It's just a really cool sound for them to have applied in their early catalog, and it's very heavy. Number 12, Spirit, opening up Meliora, my favorite of their catalog, and probably a lot of people's favorites out of the catalog. It's probably what I would say is the most accessible of their albums. I would also probably say it would be the first album I would hand to someone to get into the band. This is reminding me, just thinking back to something to compare it to, as kind of like a Black Album situation, where you have a sort of peak point in their early catalog that is notable in their production quality and their writing quality. You have a ton of memorable melodies, a ton of memorable hooks and riffs all throughout, and for me, it's much heavier than their first two entries in a certain way, in like a mixed way. One can argue there's a lot of dirty, heavy songs on their first two albums, but in a sonic listening way. Anyway, Spirit launches this album off. It's a cool, mystical, wizardy feeling hype song. It's a great opener, and I'm excited every time I go back and listen to Meliora. From the beginning, I'm excited. Number 11, we have Faith off of Prequel. This is, I believe, the second track off of that album, coming in right after the album opener, and it's a big, stompy intro, has a grindy, dirty riff that's mixed in the layers of the guitars, and when this album first came out, someone articulated it perfectly by describing this song as the barn burner that is Faith. It's just fiery and big, and when you listen to this song in the live setting, it's even better. It's amazing live. Coming in your top 10, he is at the number 10 spot, about in your midsection slowdown of Meliora. This is probably my favorite of the ballad-ish songs that Ghost has. This is, to me, one of their more straightforward ballads. The vocals are at the forefront in this one. The love letter it feels to Satan, the irony of, the theatrics they have in this band and what theme they're going for. This song just crushes, and in an album with tracks that are really heavy, one may tend to forget that this song is as good as it is, but when you hit that midsection and this song comes on, it's fantastic. The mix is perfect. It's so good. It's so anthemy, and yeah, just all the good feelings. In the number 9 spot, I have Goulet, Zombie Queen off of Infestissumam, the Scooby-Doo chase music at the top of that comparison for the Ghost catalog. It's just so fun. The feeling of a 1-part, 2-part song is really cool. This slow, proggy intro with your synths and your piano, and fading into, a really exciting extended second half. It's reminding me of something like One, placed, halfway through the And Justice for All album. It's just a really nice change of pace for how dark and serious the Infestissumam album feels apart from the rest of their catalog. It's a great classic track, and again, seeing their live concert footage in theaters, this was a great song to see. I believe they played this live. If not, I'm thinking of their Ceremony and Devotion 2017 live album where they played this, which is also a fantastic rendition of this track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. At number 8 spot, we have Pinnacle to the Pit. I believe the second or third song off of Meliora. This is a bass feature. It's so chuggy and stompy, and it's one of Hetfield's favorite Ghost tracks. It's just great. It's a gym track. It's angry. This is really tapping into the 70s, 80s, like black metal, hard rock stuff. I don't know why it feels like that way for me. It's just a great metal song. It's a great hard rock song, and it really feels like I can't point to another song in their catalog that feels as individual as this song is. It opens and it completely individualizes itself from the rest of the album. At number 7, I have Absolution towards the end of Meliora. Again, this album is chock full of favorites for me. There is, to me, no skips. But this song toward the end is a fantastic main conclusion to the album. The chorus is super memorable, super catchy. You have super dirty, heavy, nasty riffs. To me, this is another example of Ghost at their absolute best, rounding out a really tight, really heavy, meaningful metal song. At number 6, kind of a deep cut, but probably a favorite among Ghost fans who know the catalog like the back of their hand. Bible, the cover off of the Popestar EP. The original artist is escaping me at this moment, but what an adaptation of a cover into the Ghost sound that fits perfectly. I've listened to the original song, and if I'm remembering correctly, there's not much that is changed between the two versions. It's only amplified and enhanced in Ghost's mega cinematic sounding ability when they want to with certain songs. This track is, shockingly uplifting while talking about the creation of the world, and talking about, it's kind of giving a vibe of, is God sure or uncertain about what he's created is good? I may have that message a little wrong, but that's kind of the vibe I'm getting, is a slight dissection of the message of Genesis in the Bible and creating the world. It's a little unnerving, but it's also super uplifting. And the chorus is unbelievable. It's like you're at church, and the mix and the orchestra and the a cappella in the background is fantastic. And it's a big song. It's 4 or 5 minutes, might even be 6 minutes. To me, this is one I return to as Ghost being, again, in the best form they can be. At number 5, to round out my top 5 favorites, and now I'm way beyond 5 minutes, which is so funny. I thought this would go way quicker, but for doing a first top 15 video, I'm learning what the true length is going to be. And while my goal is not to overbloat a video or drone on for too long, it's cool to see how it works out. At number 5, I have Cerise off of Meliora. This is the gateway drug for a lot of fellow Ghost fans. I feel like, again, with the release of Meliora in 2015, 2016, there was an explosion of the fan base that kind of jumped on board when all of these tracks came into the mainstream. Notably, the Cerise music video did really well online. I remember that's when my radar was first picking up Ghost. It wasn't a band I was tapped into. It was a band I was aware of. But the iconography and the zeitgeist accepting Ghost into it and spitting it out to everyone seemed to explode around this song, reaching the music audience and the music world. Cerise is just a perfect track to me. This is Ghost at their absolute best in the moment. It is a perfect stomp ritual manifestation of imagery, the metaphor use of a Jack the Ripper type slinking through, a night city back in the day and entangling all of these gothic themes and what Ghost was tapped into at the time, switching in and out of a really pretty harpy orchestral chorus and having a really awesome 80s anthem-y solo. It's just everything I feel like Ghost set out to be, wrapped into one song. And when I was first getting into Ghost, for a long while, this was like the cream of the crop. And to this day, Cerise will remain a mainstay in their catalog for me as well. In the live show, they do this dueling guitar solo, I believe, before they fade into Cerise. It's really cool. They know that this song is huge for the fan base. They know that it is a great bringer together of people who love metal music. And so that lands for me in my favorites at number 5. At number 4, I have Mummy Dust off of Meliora. This comes down to delineating from objective quality and favorites for me now, where I separate Mummy Dust from Cerise in a way that Mummy Dust just remains a metal favorite for me. It's so riffy and chuggy, and it's so fun in the live setting because they have this great extended outro of it, and they hammer home the "In God We Trust" irony line, and it's a really great song. And funny enough, when I first listened to this album, Mummy Dust was kind of a goofy track at first to listen to, because just the lyric, just the goofiness of the way he was saying that line. But as time has moved on, that is a track I'm very excited to hear when listening through this album. It's remained a consistent favorite for me, and yeah, I think it's fantastic. Number 3, I have Rats, the opener off of Prequel from 2018. For those who don't know, at the time in 2018 to about the end of 2019, 2020, Rats was the biggest performing mainstream rock radio hit for 2 straight years. And again, you're talking about in a similar vein for Cerise just a few years later, another pinnacle track bringing in a new audience from the mainstream with a track that is just excellently performed and conceived, and a tight, heavy, stompy, angry song that somehow maintains this lightness that Ghost maintains, where they're not crushing you to death over the head with black metal screams and, blitz double bass, but it's so effective in its hard rock origins, and it's so fun. The lyrical content and the hilarity of saying rats over and over in kind of like a French European, way. It's like it's got this roll of the tongue. It's so funny to chant. But for me, what brings it home a lot is in the live show and on the main recording that they don't play on the radio, because at the time they had a radio edit. The big stompy outro sets itself apart from what the modern mainstream rock and metal songs don't do, which is taking that extra care and extra step to add a progressive layer to your music and have this key change, stomp, elongated outro that says, hey, we've conceived a good song, we've decided to expand its picture to be fully consumable and tight, but also totally original. I feel like so much of the modern mainstream rock metal radio scene specifically is so redundant and overdone and is algorithmic, and really feels like we're seeing so many bands set out to make the same message over and over. And in 2018, Rats was so individualized from everything else on the radio. It was one of those songs where, like, even as at the time a current Ghost fan, I got to listen to it like a new rock or metal fan, hearing this song totally separate itself from everything else you had heard on the radio. And it was fantastic. And to me, it remains fantastic and is in my top 3. My number 2 favorite song is 20s off of Impera from 2022, and for the reason, again, I'm gonna restate this statement from their album that I felt largely depended on being this stadium rock mainstream continuum image. 20s for me separates itself totally from the entire mood of the album. Some people really liked, I think, the whole package that Impera is. For me, I think continuing down this road of this stadium arena rock, people give these Kiss comparisons, or Ozzy Osbourne in the late 80s, 90s, where he ventured off on his own, and you're talking about this mainstream version of what once was. While I don't totally love the direction that Ghost decided to go with that album, while still appreciating a lot of the album, 20s for me is what sticks out as the mark of the original thinking, the interesting thinking on the album. It's got this reggaeton, shaky, dancey riff, but it's super heavy. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's a relatively shorter track. And again, you're talking about airing on goofy lyrics, talking about smoochin' defeat of Darula. Like, it's totally going over a ledge of goofy, but totally owning it in the way and the style of singing and the way of playing. It has a disgustingly heavy solo for how short it stays around, and it's just so fun. Every time I play it, I'm elated with feeling like, yeah, I love Ghost as a band. This album is fucking awesome, or this song is fucking awesome. When I first heard it, I was blown away. I continue to still be blown away, and it is absolutely at the top of my favorites. My number one favorite Ghost song of all time is Majesty off of Meliora. This, to me, is chills up the arm good. It was a track off of Meliora that when I first heard it, it felt familiar, like it was home to me while listening, being a previous fan of 80s thrash metal and hard rock and metal, your Panteras, Metallicas, Megadeths, Ozzy, Black Sabbath, Alice in Chains, all of these things, all bands inspired by who came before in the 70s and the 60s, and Majesty feels so carefully constructed and aware of the 70s, black metal, hard rock, and it's just a vibe. It's really hard to quantify or describe in words what a vibe means and the weight it carries, The melody in the chorus means so much to me and invades my soul. It feels so good. It's almost cathartic in a Tool way, where it's the old world master, and it's doing the flowy rocking back and forth. And you're talking about the album where I spoke earlier, how the mix is impeccable and the lyrics are at their peak and the playing feels at their peak. And it's just it's a song that's reaching out and massaging my brain over and over the 3 or 4 times that chorus is coming in, and it's just awesome. The guitar tone is lulling me into this state of being yeah, I'm here for it. I'm not a classically trained musician. I, for the most part, have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to the vocabulary of musicianship, but what I feel like I have a relatively decent ability to do is convey what any given song is making me feel. To me, I'm a big feel guy, and to me, no song in Ghost's catalog makes me feel more at home with Ghost than the way Majesty makes me feel. It is my all-time favorite track at the moment. Who knows if that could change, but for honorable mentions, I have Per Aspera ad Inferi from Infestissumam, Conclavi Con Dio from their opening album Opus Eponymous, and Watcher in the Sky from Impera from 2022. All songs that didn't quite make the top cut, but are songs that have beefed up their importance to me, mostly from the live show experience. I've seen them live in 2022. I saw them, in theaters with their live concert film, and those were all songs that were enhanced by their original production or their original scheme. Per Aspera and Conclavi both have these really heavy foundational bones that are so amplified and in your face in the live experience, where the bass is 5 times louder. The mix is so much clearer and in your face, because those first couple Ghost albums, their mix, their production has that subtly quieted, down-tuned mix, kind of like your old school albums do, where if you really want to jam to it, you got to turn them way up. You got to blare this music. But you throw these these songs in the live setting, and they just explode. And so now I'm able to go back and listen and have a better appreciation for these songs' original meaning for me. And Watcher in the Sky was another deep cut off of Impera to me that really stuck out as a fun, jammy song that was just super catchy and memorable to me. But, overall, this is my top 15 favorite Ghost songs of all time. I would love to hear what your top 10, 15, 20 favorite songs of Ghosts are, your reasoning why. I'd love to hear you tear apart my list, whatever you want to do. This is the first of many. I hope to continue doing this for certain bands that I feel capable of creating lists like this. I hope you enjoyed watching. Please like, comment, subscribe if you feel like doing so, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.